Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to Open Mic here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. It's an honor and a privilege to have you guys joining me here today as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and all that kind of stuff. Now, every day on the John Campea Show in the mornings, we talk about the movie news and we save a little bit of time for some live questions. But here on Open Mic, hell, that's all we do is take live questions. We're all just a bunch of friends standing around a virtual water cooler talking about our favorite things in the world. So that's what we're going to do today. I just came back from having lunch with a good friend of mine. That's always a nice thing. So excited about Comic-Con, guys. Me and fact checker Jonathan were actually just messaging each other on Slack talking about Comic-Con. We're starting to plan what we're going to do at Comic-Con. I'm honestly just looking forward to going to Comic-Con, relaxing, meeting a whole bunch of you guys there. It's going to be a blast. I cannot wait to go. Okay, so today's show, all about taking live questions. So let's get right to it. And we're going to start off today with Patrick Conway, who writes, did we need a heist MCU movie? Did we need a heist MCU movie? Why not a spy movie? Because they're two completely different things. Look, it would be different. So where this is all coming from is this. It looks like the MCU is moving forward with a Black Widow movie. And I'm not tremendously big on that notion. Like, I'm not really big on the idea of doing a Black Widow movie. Just whatever. Part of the reason is because you've got this universe of gods and superpowered beings and aliens and blah, blah, blah. So why just do a movie, basically a Jason Bourne movie, with somebody who's just like anybody else when anybody else can make that movie? You know what I mean? That's just my thought, whatever. That's why I've never been big on the idea of a Hawkeye or a Black Widow movie. I love both of these characters in the MCU, and I love both of them popping up in all the MCU films. I've just, right from the very first Avengers movie, have never been interested in either a Hawkeye or a Black Widow movie. I'm just not. So, Patrick, when you're asking, well, we had a heist movie, why not a spy movie? Because you're missing my point. My point isn't about the spy genre. My point is about your character fulfilling the role. Like, yeah, we had a heist film, but it was a heist film with a guy with supernatural abilities. The ability to shrink and grow, maintain tactile strength of a full-grown man while being this small, going into the quantum realm, blah, 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 blah. And yes, they did it within the shell of a heist movie. Now, I'm not saying all this to try to convince you to change your mind. I'm simply telling you all this just to explain my position on this, right? So, yeah, so I have no problem with a heist movie in the MCU if it's being populated by these supernatural characters who have supernatural abilities, whether they're man-made supernatural abilities, God-given supernatural abilities, what crazy scientific experiments, supernatural abilities, whatever. It's not as simple as just saying, well, you're okay with a heist movie, why not a spy movie? Because I have no problem with a spy movie. I'm not interested in an MCU spy movie where your main character is just an average human being just like anybody else. Look, the MCU gives us a playground where we can have stories with these gods and aliens and people with these supreme superpowers and all that kind of stuff. So I like them to tell those stories. Tell them in the framework of those genres like heist films, political thrillers, all that kind of stuff. Yes, but you populate them with these characters. To me, the reason I don't want a Hawkeye film or a Black Widow film is not because I don't want a spy film. It's just because I don't want a film that centers around a type of a character that can be in any movie. Any movie can have non-superpowered characters in their thing. The MCU is about that world. And so there's that. And again, I'm only saying all that not to change your mind. I'm simply saying that to explain my position and saying that it's not as simple as just saying, well, we had a heist film, why not a spy film? Because it's not about the genre container. It's about the characters that are inhabiting it. It's not that I don't have any desire to see a spy film. Sure. I just have no desire to see a spy film in the MCU where the lead characters are just average characters that could have come from any cinematic universe, not the MCU. Because Hawkeye and Black Widow are just human beings, right? So anyway, that's why it's not a good comparison, because it's not about the shell genre. It's about the characters inhabiting it. That's where I'm coming from at any point. Okay, let's move on here. Chris Martin writes, double feature yesterday at home. I watched Logan and Hook 1991. That's a good double feature, man. I love both those movies. Obviously, Logan was the best film of 2017. Logan was just simply the best film of 2017. In my opinion. Hands down, it was the best film of 2017. It not only should have been nominated for Best Picture, it should have won Best Picture. But anyway. Hook, though, And we talk about Hook once in a while. Hook is just one of those movies that I just don't get it. I mean, I understand lots of people don't like Hook. I understand that, but I don't get it. And there are a lot of movies I love where I get why somebody doesn't like it. There are movies I really like, but I get why somebody wouldn't like that. Sure, I like it, but I can understand why other people wouldn't. I don't get it with Hook. I just don't. That movie's freaking delightful. It's awesome. I love that movie. So good on you, Chris, for having that double feature. That's a good double feature to have. All right, let's move on here. Luna Comics writes, what do you think of the Ninja Turtles in Injustice 2? I think it's cool that the Ninja Turtles interacting with Batman and Superman. I never actually saw that. So they clearly weren't in the Injustice 2 cutscene movie. And when I played it, they weren't characters. They weren't available characters. Personally, I think it's ludicrous, but then again, I haven't seen it or played it with them in it. So maybe if I saw it and played it with them in it, I would have a different opinion. So take my opinion with that with a grain of salt. I just think in principle, it's a ridiculous notion. I don't like the idea. But again, maybe if I played it, I would think differently. But that's kind of my thoughts just off the top of my head. All right. Ben Heyusa writes, John, have you heard about the working title of the Joker origin movie being called Romeo? No, I have not. Hold a second. Working titles ultimately really mean nothing. Wait, Romeo or yeah, Romeo. I thought you were going to say Romero. Because I said that would be kind of cool just give it a working title, Romero, after Cesar Romero, the first on-screen Joker. That would have been pretty cool. But no, I did not hear about that. I don't know if it's legit either. So here we go. I'm seeing a story here. Oh, okay. So it's not from an official source. Okay, so it's just some small outlet is saying that they've heard that that's the working title. It's not official, so as far as I'm concerned, it's not. And but if it does, who cares what a working title is? A working title is always just a placeholder anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But I don't necessarily believe this anyway, because it's just coming from one kind of unsubstantiable source, so we'll just wait and see. Jabin Carter writes, are you in any fantasy movie leagues? No, I'm not, but I want to. Thank you for bringing that up, Jabin, because I was at AMC the other day, and they had an ad play before a movie for a fantasy movie league. I really should. And you know what? I think somebody mentioned it to me once before, and I really should do it. We should organize a fantasy movie league for the Patreon supporters. We totally should, because our Patreon supporters, we have a Facebook group just for me and all the Patreon supporters, and we should totally organize a fantasy movie league. I think I'm going to get on that. You know what? I think I'm going to get Fact Checker Jonathan to look into this and get a league put together. And we can start having a fantasy movie league. Because I love fantasy football, so there's really no reason in the world for me not to be playing in a fantasy movie league. I think we're going to get our own fantasy movie league going on the Patreon Facebook page. So I'll get Fact Checker Jonathan on that pretty quick here, and we'll get that moving, because I love the idea of it. I got totally excited about the idea of it. I want to do it. We'll see about launching something about it shortly after Comic-Con is done. So keep your eyes open for that, guys. Thanks for bringing that up, Jabin. I appreciate it. All right. Next question comes to us from Ben Heyusa, who writes, also, did you see the new image of Venom they just dropped earlier? Terrifying, I must say. Badass looking. You know what? No. As soon as I was done the John Campea show today, I did a couple of quick little administrative things. And where is it? I did a couple of new little administrative things, and then I ran out to meet my friend for lunch. And so I haven't seen any news that's dropped between then and now. And I'm looking at the picture right now. That looks pretty cool. Let me see if I can get this onto the screen. Give me a second here, guys. Okay, there we go. Okay. Sorry this is taking me a second. I just think you guys should be able to see what it is we're talking about. Okay, so here's that image they were talking about. Yeah, that looks great. I gotta say that looks great. Let me see if I can size that up here for us. Hey, look, I was one of the guys. Never forget this, folks. When this movie comes out, if it's good, remember, I was one of the first guys saying, I believe in this. I think this movie has upside. I think this movie has a lot of potential upside. I love that look. Shit, that looks great. Holy crap, I love it. Yeah, I'm completely on board with that. That looks great. I really like the trailer too. But I've been saying since day one that they said they were doing a Venom movie. I said, I think there's potential here. Could be total garbage. Absolutely it could be. And there are some legitimate reasons to feel pessimistic if you feel pessimistic. Absolutely there are. But I'm telling you, I think I see a lot of potential upside to this movie. I really do. I always have. You've got a solid director. You've got a great lead actor in Tom Hardy, who is maybe not as picky about his roles as Joaquin Phoenix, but is very picky about which movies he'll be in. And just the potential of it here. And I think this looks like it could be really fun. So let me just bring that up one more time. Hot damn, that looks good. Damn, that looks good. Oh, I'm getting chills just thinking about it. Yeah, that looks great. That looks absolutely wonderful. Thanks for sharing that, Ben. Let's see. Ali Hussein writes, I just watched Ant-Man and the Wasp. I was really, it was really great and funny. I think it is better than the first one in my opinion. And you're not alone in that opinion, Ali. Actually, it's funny because, when I went to go see the first press screening for Ant-Man and the Wasp, I remember I had a really good time. I really enjoyed the film, but I kind of felt like the first one was obviously better, right? That's what I was thinking. But then I'm talking to a bunch of people coming out of the theater, and a lot of them thought like it was better than the first one. So I'm like, I think I'm going to be the odd guy out there. Like, I just thought it was obvious that the first one's even better, but a lot of people, I'd say the majority of people thought this one was better than the first one. So I still prefer the first one over the second one, and I really like the second one a lot. But I kind of prefer the first one. Because you guys know how much I love that first one. But yeah, you're definitely not alone in that thought, Ali. A lot of people I know in this business really love the second one and thought it was, like you, think it's even better than the first one. So what do you guys, have you guys seen Ant-Man and the Wasp? If so, which one did you prefer? Like, jump down in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think. I'd be curious to know what your guys' thoughts are. But I know a lot of people prefer the second one. A lot. Murray Reich writes, when are you seeing Skyscraper? Debating if I should see it. Well, goes back. I don't want to go into it in detail. I was supposed to go see a press screening a number of days ago before the film opened. And then that day, a friend of mine and Ann's died, which obviously changed my plans for that evening. And then I was going to go watch it last night. I was just going to go to the AMC and just go watch it because I missed the press screening, obviously. So I was going to go watch it last night, but then I ended up playing Warcraft longer than I planned. Because I did a Warcraft stream last night. I was going to play Warcraft for like 45 minutes, but I was in a really good groove, and people were online with me, and people were asking really good questions, and I just stayed playing it, so I didn't see it last night either. I think I'm going to try to sneak out and see it tonight. Anne's still not home. She's still off in Rhode Island. She comes back on Sunday, just in time for our Dungeons and Dragons night. Anne comes back on Sunday, so I think, because it's Friday, I think I might just sneak over to the AMC by myself tonight because it's just a 10-minute walk up the street. I think I'm going to go, and I think I might do a double header tonight. I think I might go watch Ant-Man again, and then I'm probably going to watch Skyscraper. So I'll probably get around to doing that tonight. I'm hoping. If not, I might go see an early show tomorrow morning. So that's what I'm thinking right now at any rate. All right. Kevin Kamaki writes, can you explain fantasy football? Okay, I'm not going to go into in-depth. Fantasy football is basically this. You pick a team of different players from around the league. You pick quarterbacks, you pick wide receivers, you pick running backs. And then that week in the NFL, when quarterbacks throw for a certain amount of yards, that gets them points. When a quarterback throws for a touchdown, that gets them points. When a wide receiver catches for 100 yards, that gets you certain points. When a running back runs for a certain amount of yards or gets a touchdown, they get points. So all the players you selected, as they put up individual stats, you get points. And then you're competing against other players who drafted their own teams. And then at the end of the week, you see who had the most points. So that, in a nutshell, is fantasy football. There's a whole lot more to it than that, but that's just the basic idea of it. Patrick Conway follows up and writes, remember the Aunt May movie with Sally Field? I remember there was talk about that. Like, I remember that because we used to joke about it all the time. That obviously never happened. Whether it was, I'm not even sure it was ever actually real. I don't recall ever seeing anything that completely validated that was actually seriously being considered. But I do remember when it came up. And I remember it was just the laughing stock of everything. Like, I remember we were joking about it on our shows. Like, we were constantly mocking the idea of it. It would be rather ridiculous if they ever did something like that. But hey, we're getting an Alfred standalone, so there you go. Murray Reich writes, personally, I don't want a Black Widow or a Hawkeye movie because, like you said, they're more like secondary. But given Marvel's great track record, I have faith that it may be a good movie. Hey, if Legos could be great, why not this? Oh, look, no. Don't misunderstand. Of course, Marvel is completely capable of making a Black Widow movie and making it good. I have no doubt it'll be good. Then why don't you like it? Because I would rather see them put their energy, effort, and time into another superhero movie that will also be good or even better. So, like, I have no doubt. Listen, if Marvel came out right now and said, hey, we're pulling Avengers 4 off next year and we're going to put a Hawkeye movie in instead, I have no doubt the movie would be good. How good is up for debate, but I'd feel very comfortable and very confident that the movie would at least be good. So, John, why do you have a problem with it? Well, because I think you, instead of putting your time and energy and resources into making that movie, you could make another good movie about actual superheroes. That's just the way I see it. So again, no doubt it would be good. I just would rather see them do other movies. They've got a ton. Marvel still has a ton of characters under license that they have never touched. Like great superhero, superpowered characters that they have still never touched. Hell, where's my Doctor Strange 2? You know, I want a Captain America 4. I would love to see an Iron Man 4. I want a Thor 4. Like all these, and plus some other characters too. I would just rather see them get the time and attention rather than Widow or Hawkeye. Again, no doubt that they would make them good. I just think, why not make those other movies good then instead of those ones? That's just my way of thinking. Again, I don't want to make it sound like I'm trying to talk you out of it. If you guys are looking forward to that movie, I'm not trying to talk you out of it. Not at all. I'm just, again, making sure you understand where I'm coming from. Let's see. Next one comes to us from Luna Comics. Oops. Where'd Luna go? Hold on a second. Sorry, it looks like we had a bigger jump than I thought. La la la. Okay, here we go. Luna Comics writes, thoughts on the full costume Black Manta look. I hated it at first because the eyes are too big and I wanted the helmet to be silver, but it grew on me. I'm still not big on the look of it, I'll be honest with you. But, I mean, again, keep this in perspective. Who the hell cares what the costume looks like? Who cares? A good-looking costume is not going to make the movie any better. A bad-looking costume is not going to make a good movie bad. And so it's just the costume. Who cares? As long as the character is good, that's all that matters. But if we're just talking about the costume, to me, it's one of those situations that we often talk about. I think the Black Manta costume is a great example of a costume that looks great on a printed page or in an animated form, but doesn't feel right in live action. Now, at least what they've done is downscaled the size of the head. Because, you know, you've seen some incarnations of Black Manta, right? Where the head's like out to here, right? So, actually, I've got this. Why are you sitting right here? Let me move that out of the way. So, at least they have downscaled that. Thank God they downscaled that. It just doesn't quite work for me. But whatever, who cares? Aquaman looks awesome. And I'm sure as long as the character's good, who gives a flip what the costume looks like? Who cares? But so far, Momoa's Aquaman looks great. And hey, if they wanted to stick with the classic look of Manta, at least they adapted it a little bit so it's a little bit more palatable. But who cares? As long as James Wan makes the character great, I won't care one bit about whether I like the costume or not. So it's not really a big deal. Ali Hussein writes, seriously, why do people just walk out after a Marvel movie ends? I know the post-credits scene of Ant-Man and Wasp was disappointed, but I still have not learned anything. But still, have we not learned anything after 10 years? No, a lot of people just don't care. Like, I think most people know there are post-credit scenes, but a lot of people don't care. A lot of people think, okay, yeah, so there's going to be a 30-second scene. Do I want to sit through 6 minutes of credits just sitting here for 6 minutes to get a 15 to 30-second scene that ultimately really doesn't mean anything anyway? I mean, really, look, I always stick around for post-credits. Always. I get a kick out of them. But the reality is, there's never been a post-credit scene that you have to see. There's never been a post-credit scene that you have to see. Like, as in, if you don't see this post-credit scene, you won't understand the next movie. There's never, they're really, ultimately, they're great and they're fun, but they aren't important. You know what I'm saying? Even the mid-credit scene on Ant-Man and the Wasp, it's really cool, but it's not like if you miss that, it changes anything for you. Not at all. Not really. So they're great and they're fun, but guess what? I totally understand. Like somebody sitting in the theater going, well, I can leave now, get to the bathroom before the big bathroom rush, and get to my car while the parking lot is still easy to get out of and get a head start on going home. Or I can sit here doing nothing, twiddling my thumbs for 6 minutes as credits roll, just to watch a 30-second scene that ultimately doesn't really mean anything anyway. Of course I can understand why people want to go. I mean, I'll be the idiot sitting there going, I can't wait to see the post-credit scene. I'll be that guy, sure. But I totally get why there are people who don't want to. And really, when you think about it, it is kind of silly that we do that, isn't it? That we just sit there for 6 minutes to ultimately see a 30-second clip or a 15-second clip that ultimately doesn't really mean anything. Why are you still sitting here in a dark theater just watching credits? Well, because we're going to see a scene. Is it like another 10 minutes of the movie? No, it's going to be about 20 seconds. Do you only got to wait like a minute? No, we got to wait 5, 6, 7 minutes. But it's going to be totally like it'll change your whole impression of the movie when you see it. Nah, it's probably not going to mean anything, but it's probably going to be cool. Maybe we're the silly ones. Ali, maybe you and me, maybe we're the silly ones. And people who are walking out of the theater, just like we sit there, see the people walking out going, are you guys crazy? There's post-credit scenes. They're probably walking out looking at us as, are you guys crazy? Do you have nothing going on in your lives that you're just going to sit here for 7 minutes doing nothing just so you can watch a 30-second scene that doesn't mean anything? That's how they probably look at us, dude. So it goes both ways, I guess. So no, I can totally get why people do that. I can. Let's see. Murray Reich writes, won't you be my midi-chlorian, a George Lucas love story? Yeah, there you go. Except that one's not as altruistic. That one probably wouldn't be nearly as altruistic. Dakota Barber writes, rewatching Rogue Nation, such a great movie and my favorite in the Mission Impossible movies. Can't wait for Fallout. What's your favorite Mission Impossible movie? Probably Ghost Protocol. I really liked Rogue Nation, for sure. I did. But I also definitively like Ghost Nation more. Or Ghost Protocol more. Ghost Nation. I'm mixing the movies up. I definitively liked Ghost Protocol more. There was just something... that was kind of a changing of gears for the whole franchise. Like, that movie was quite different from all the other movies while staying true to its DNA. And then Rogue Nation was kind of an extension of that, which is great. And I know a lot of people that, believe me, I know a lot of people that Rogue Nation is their favorite Mission Impossible movie. But for me, it's still Ghost Protocol. That's and I'm with you, Dakota. I'm very excited about Fallout. Very, very excited about Fallout. Can't wait to watch it. All right, next up. James Argenta writes, is there a Disney MCU character... is there a DC MCU character is in Far From Home? Is there a Disney MCU character is in Far From Home? I think what you're asking, James, is there going to be another MCU character in Far From Home like Iron Man was in and Hap were in Homecoming? Honestly, I don't know. And right now, I'm going to doubt it. Look, with Homecoming, I got it. I understood why you put Iron Man in there. Because while it is Spider-Man, one of the most popular comic book characters in the world, the fact of the matter is this was your third incarnation of Spider-Man in like the last 8 years. Right? Like, this is yet another Spider-Man reboot, this time in a different universe with a new actor and a new Aunt May and all that kind of stuff. And to give it a little bit more oomph, they threw in an established MCU character to bring the audience along with it. I understood that. I got it. And it worked. I was pretty concerned when the Homecoming trailers first started coming out, because it started looking like Iron Man 4 with good friends Spider-Man. It didn't look like a Spider-Man movie. The trailers made it look like an Iron Man 4 movie with his new sidekick Spider-Man. That's what the trailers looked like. But when you watch the movie, you realize, no, this is a Spider-Man movie. This is definitely a Spider-Man movie. So that was great. But I don't think they have that need anymore. People loved Homecoming. They loved Spider-Man in Civil War. They loved him in Avengers Infinity War. I feel like they don't actually need to have another MCU character along the way. Now, they might. Sure. It could even be Tony again. It could be Hap again. It could be Falcon or, Black Widow or Captain America. I mean, who knows? They could. If I had to guess, and this is pure guess, I'm not staking anything on this. My pure, utter guess would be they won't have another character in there because they don't need one. But they might throw it in. As of right now, I haven't heard anything suggesting that there will be another MCU character in there, but we'll have to wait and see. All right. Dylan Trost writes, assuming he doesn't run into other familiar characters, the choice to show us an Obi-Wan story, which exists whether we see it or not, says nothing about the size of the universe. Oh, you're completely wrong on that, in my opinion. In my opinion, you're completely wrong. Look, it just goes back to my analogy about, about the town. And for some of you may have heard me use this analogy before. I'll use it again. When I am in like a little town called Bimbrook, there's a little town in Ontario called Bimbrook, Ontario, that's just south of Hamilton. It bumps up against Hamilton, but it's just outside. It's this little stick backwater kind of little town, right? It's actually lovely. I like it a lot. I'd love to move there. Anyway, it's a small little town. If you live in Bimbrook, every time you step outside of your house, the odds that you're going to bump into somebody you recognize and know are pretty good because it's a small little town, right? It's a small little community. So when you step outside your door, odds are you'll probably bump into somebody or see somebody you know or recognize. In Los Angeles, where I am right now, totally different. I can literally go months walking around the streets, blah, 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 and never run into anybody I know. I have bumped into somebody I know now and again, but it's rare that I'll be walking around and just happen to bump into somebody I know. Why? Because this is a massive city. It's big, it's vast, it's large. Small town, you bump into people you know. Big, vast metropolis doesn't happen nearly as often. And in Star Wars, every time, it feels like, other than Rogue One for the most part, every time we step through the doors of Star Wars, before our feet even hit the sidewalk, we're bumping into characters we already know. And then we go, oh, excuse me, Obi-Wan. And then we turn this way, oh, excuse me, Darth Vader. And then we turn the other, oh, excuse me, R2-D2. Oh, excuse me, blah, blah. Shrink, 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 shrink. The smaller the universe, the more you will bump into people you know. The smaller the town, the more you will bump into people you know. The smaller the cinematic universe, the more you'll bump into characters you already know. It does shrink it. Sorry, it does. When you do it, that every single time you walk through this universe's doors, and remember, this isn't like any other film franchise. It's not like the Jason Bourne franchise where every movie is supposed to be about Jason Bourne, or a James Bond franchise where every movie is supposed to be about James Bond. This is potentially a vast, vast galaxy and universe with infinite numbers of stories and characters and time frames and, stories to tell. And yet, every time we walk through the door, boom, oh, excuse me, Boba Fett. Yoink, oh, excuse me, Han Solo. Boink, oh, excuse me, Obi-Wan. Every single time we step out the door, we realize smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller town. So yeah, doing an Obi-Wan movie, once again, shrinks the town. It shrinks the universe. It does. Unless I can walk through the doors and walk around a little bit without bumping into somebody I already know, you're shrinking the universe. Expand the universe a little bit. That's what I want them to do. Expand the universe. Let me go for a walk and see new things and new people and new characters and overhear new stories that are being told. That grows the universe, not constantly bumping every 3 steps into somebody you already know, shrinking the universe. So yes, doing an Obi-Wan movie does shrink the universe. That doesn't mean the movie couldn't be great. Doesn't mean the movie won't be awesome. Doesn't mean there's not a lot of potential upside to doing an Obi-Wan movie. I'm not saying that at all. But it is undeniable that it continues to shrink the universe. Because once again, we're opening the Star Wars door and bumping immediately into somebody we already know. Small town. Star Wars is this tiny little 1 gas station town when it should be bigger than Los Angeles. You know what I mean? But anyway, that's just kind of the way I see it, Dylan. And again, I'm not saying that means you shouldn't do it, period. There's lots of upside to a potential Obi-Wan movie. Absolutely there is. Lots of upside. But make no mistake, it does. One of the drawbacks is that it does shrink the universe. It just does. Okay, Ali Hussein writes, I think Ghost was a great villain, not the best. Well, I mean, see, here's the thing, Ali. I think Ghost, we're talking about in Ant-Man 2. I think Ghost was a good character, not necessarily a great villain. Now, you found her to be a great villain. That's awesome. And your opinion is no less valid than mine on that. I just happen to feel like she was a pretty good character, just not a great villain, per se. And that's fine, because the story didn't call for a great villain. Ant-Man and the Wasp didn't need a great villain to tell its story. And that's fine. But I did like the character. I did like the character quite a bit. Let's see. Dylan Trost writes, just curious, were you a fan of 24? You know what? 24 is an interesting show. I remember I first got into 24 because I had just moved to Los Angeles. And I got I'd been in town for a couple of months and I got kind of sick. So I was kind of home bedridden for about a weekend, right? And so I dragged myself. I lived on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood at the time. And right up the street was a Blockbuster Video. By the way, did you see the news now? It's official. There's only 1 Blockbuster Video left. I think it's in Oregon. There were 3 Blockbuster Videos left. 2 of them were in Alaska. Those 2 will close at the end of this week. And now there's going to be just 1 Blockbuster store left in the world. And it's in Oregon. And they're saying they don't have any plans of closing down. Apparently they still get business there, which is great. But anyway, so there was a Blockbuster Video up the road. We're going back about 9 years ago now. And so I walked out there because I was going to rent maybe 4 or 5 movies because I knew it was going to be kind of bedridden all weekend. And all my friends have been talking about this 24 show with Kiefer Sutherland. And I love Kiefer Sutherland. Good Canadian kid, by the way. So I thought I've heard good things about it. And I binged the first 24 in 2 days. I just ripped through those DVDs, man. I watched the first 24 in 2 days. Now, I never thought 24 was as good as its first season. I never thought 24 was ever as good as it was in its first season. But there were some really good seasons. Freddie Prinze Jr. was in 1 or 2 of those seasons as well, if I remember correctly. It had a questionable season here or there, but overall I liked the show. I did. I remember there was talk about doing a 24 movie with Kiefer Sutherland back, and I'd be all for it. But anyway, but yes, I dug it. I did, especially that first season, man. That first season got me hooked. Let's see. Vince Carter of Mars. That's a great username, man. Thoughts on Anchorman? One of my favorites. It is my, other than Step Brothers, Anchorman is my all-time favorite Will Ferrell comedy. And definitely in my top 10. Anchorman is definitely in my top 10. It's just every 30 seconds, there's something else in that movie to make you laugh your fool guts out. Like every 30 seconds, there's something else happens that just make you laugh hysterically. I love that movie. I like Anchorman too. It did not live up to the original one, unfortunately. But that first Anchorman, dude, we could sit here and talk all day about it. And you can just quote Anchorman all day. You know, Sex Panther. It's awesome. I love Anchorman. I don't know what else to say other than it's freaking awesome and I love it. Dylan follows up with, I read The Pride over the weekend and I loved, oh, thank you, Dylan. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. The Pride is, of course, a little novel that I wrote. Took me 5 years to, it took me probably about 5 years to write and get it done. But thank you, man. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, dude. You just made my day. I'm not going to lie to you, Dylan. You just made my day. Thank you very much, sir. Let's see here. Adam K writes, thoughts on the Madagascar films? Where's the fourth? You know what? I thought the first one was pretty cute. I did not like the subsequent ones. Just being frank with you. I thought the first one was pretty cute. And then I just didn't like any of the ones that came after that. And where's the fourth? I don't know. I mean, the reality is, even kids, the standard is getting higher. The more we get movies like How to Train Your Dragon, and the more we're getting like Pixar films, the standard of excellence is getting higher. And I've never felt like Madagascar. This is just my opinion as a film fan. Your opinion is no less valid than mine. But I just always felt myself that Madagascar never lived up to that standard. I mean, the first one was cute. I enjoyed the first one. But after that, I just never really enjoyed what they did after it. I just felt the quality went off, and I just kind of felt like they were sleepwalking through it. So not a big fan of the franchise. Like the first one, but I was never a big fan of the franchise after that. Let's see. Next one comes to us from Joe Clem 15 writes, why don't we see Edward Norton in films hat often? I think he meant that often. I think it's because, look, I'm speculating here, okay? I'm speculating. But I think there's some good foundation for my speculation here. But here's what I'm speculating. Edward Norton is one of the great actors out there. There's no denying that. He is. But Ed Norton also developed a bit of a reputation for being very difficult to work with. And there was drama between him and Marvel and Disney around their Hulk film, and that he was involved in. And, you know, he rewrote a bunch of the script. He wanted final edit, and they didn't give him final edit. And then he refused to do promotion for the film, or at least a bunch of promotion film, blah, blah, blah. A lot of stories started going around about how difficult people found him to work with and all this kind of stuff. Now, again, I was never there. I didn't see what happened and what didn't happen. I'm just kind of relaying stories that I heard. What's true and what's not is probably somewhere in between, like most things. But, yeah, I don't think it's him not appearing in a whole ton of stuff has anything to do with his talent. Not at all. And I think directors would like to work with him, but I just think studios have been hesitant to work with him because I think he developed a bit of a reputation for being difficult to work with. Now, of course, he has worked several times in the past with like a Wes Anderson. So Wes Anderson had no problem making him one of the voices in Isle of Dogs, which I thought was okay. I liked him in Collateral Beauty. Let's see. What was one of the other recent ones he did that I actually quite liked? The one he did with Michael Keaton. What was the name of the Michael Keaton one? Why am I forgetting? Birdman. I thought he was great in Birdman. Didn't he get an Academy Award nomination for Birdman? Wait a second. Now I got to look that up because this is going to bug me. If he didn't get an Academy Award nomination, he could have. It must have been close because he was really good in that movie. Let me just double check here. What did it get nominated for? Yeah, Ed Norton. He got nominated for Best Supporting Role, Best Supporting Actor for that. And he was wonderful in that. But so there are still people out there who will work with them, but my guess is he developed a reputation in town of being difficult to work with, and now fewer people want to work with him, and fewer studios want to step in and work with him. I think a lot of directors would like to work with him, but I think there's probably studios that hesitate to work with them. And again, maybe I'm dead wrong on that. I hope I'm dead wrong. I think he's a terrific performer. I like watching him and stuff very, very much. But hey, it kind of is what it is right now. Let's see here. Next up, James Welsh writes, Scarlett Johansson pulled out of Rub and Tug. Oh, that's unfortunate. That is unfortunate that she got bullied out. But hey, it is what it is. You got to do business. And if it became bad business, then it became bad business. I hope. I mean, the reality is she probably got bullied out, which is too bad. But I thought she would have been great in it. But she's an apex level actor. She'd be great in anything. Dylan Trost writes, over under 15%. Lando references L3 and the Falcon. I'm going to take the under. I'm going to take the under on that. I wouldn't say 0. I wouldn't say 0. No. But 15, I think, is a little bit high, especially considering that it's not like Lando hasn't been on the Falcon since he lost it to Han, right? Like, he was already on the Falcon in Return of the Jedi. He piloted the Falcon and led the attack on the second Death Star. So it's not like he had never been back on it and now he steps back on, oh, L3, it's good to see you, girl. Like it. So it seems to me like the chances would be lower. But again, I'm not saying nil. I would give it a good 5 or 6% chance, but I'll take the under on 15. For now, I'll take the under on 15. Interesting question, though, but I'll take the under on 15. Let's see. ZOMG Ruler says, people say you only like DCU because DC heroes are in it. That's like saying you only like James Bond movies because James Bond is in it. That is a totally nonsensical, idiotic thing for anybody to say to you. That is a total nonsensical, idiotic thing for anybody to say to you, ZOMG. If anybody says that to you, give them a little bit of a side eye. It's like, and just ask them if they're feeling okay. And like, seriously, it's nuts. It's completely nuts. It's like saying, oh, you only like Will Ferrell movies because Will Ferrell's in it. But yeah, but it's a Will Ferrell movie. So, yes. Hey guys, listen, I'm going to cut today's show a little bit short. I just got a text message saying John is, look, some of you guys know I've been talking about the last couple of days. John Schnepp is in the hospital. He hasn't been doing great. And apparently, I just got a text message saying he's now in critical condition. So, with your permission, I'm going to cut today's show a little bit short. We got 45 minutes. So it's not like it was a short. It's not like it was a tiny little show. We went 45 minutes. With your permission and hopefully with your understanding, I'm going to cut today's show a little bit short. I need to make some phone calls. So, hey guys, do me a favor. Jump on Twitter. Tweet at John Schnepp. Just tweet out well wishes that him and his girlfriend Holly will see them. Can you do me that favor? Can you do that for me? Jump online, jump on Twitter, tweet to at John Schnepp, and I'm going to go and try to get some more information. So thank you for letting me bow out early, guys. I do apologize. All of you guys who have sent in super chat questions, I'm going to take those super chat questions. They will be in upcoming companion videos. I promise you all the questions you sent in will get answered on a video. It'll just be in one of the companion videos, so I need to split for right now. So thank you so much for being here, guys. Appreciate it all very, very much. Thanks for being here. I'll talk to you later. My name's John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.